What's up, Dub Nation? Rich with Let's Go Warriors back again for another live stream that hopefully will kind of, I guess, give you some hope. So let me pull up the live chat. Didn't want to be too late, so kind of have been a little bit of a rush lately. Just finished the recap that's now on Spotify, but not quite on YouTube yet. And stayed up late again, transcribing some stuff from Dallas. So here we are, and we will talk about the Anthony Davis trade that I find very interesting and possibly the only real solution that equals meaningful basketball. And part of that is that it includes Klay Thompson. So that's exciting in and of itself as well. So I'm going to need the help of a back screen. Let me pull that up. And then also, as we wait for some more people to hop on, some more of our regulars to join us, I'm going to need to go post this on Instagram. All right, so here we are. Change that. Switch me over to purple background. And the reason why I do this is because the purple represents what you see in the background right there, which is our Discord server. So I'm going to go ahead and put that link up in the pinned comments. So free Discord, sign up. There's also a, let's go to the VIP version. Right here. Here are all the feeds for VIPs. Here are all the feeds for the free version. The free version is a subset of the VIP feeds, but the VIP feeds are instantaneous. They are real time. All right, so free Discord sign up. Let's get the link up there so you can follow along. Discord-free. It's utilizing the WAP platform, which I'm still on the fence about, but it's going to either be that or Patreon. And I haven't figured that out yet. So I need to do some user testing pretty soon. So yeah, let me just go ahead and click this to be on the Bay Area live feed. You get a good look at just what our VIP access to our Discord looks like. Dalton Johnson is checking out Leon's 6'9" wing, 12 points, plus 17. Cool. Maybe I'll go check that out too. If we don't make any trades, maybe we will check out more Leon's, because as I am going to present the argument shortly, I don't know if keeping the same squad or just trading JK is going to be meaningful basketball under the definition of one Wardell, Stephen Curry. So yeah, I'm going to turn this live into an edited version for hopefully tomorrow. Oh, look at that. Hamstring strain for Aaron Gordon, and not that it matters anymore. We lost Jimmy. And I saw a little thing on Devin Booker. So one thing I can show you off here is search on Booker. And it'll search all the ones on Booker. Right ankle injury. Left the game on crutches. I'm glad it's not the knee. Let it be the ankle if it needs to be an injury. Rolls his ankle. Mr. Buck, I need to change him and put him into the VIP X's and O's and analysis, because he puts a lot of, I don't know, maybe I'll keep him in there. Okay, so that's a search on Devin Booker and Anthony Davis. What was that? Positive spirits, light on-court work amid the early stage of surgical recovery process, left-hand injury. Okay, and then you got to scroll all the way down for it to automatically update. Okay, so let me just do one thing on Instagram, and then I will begin the discussion. Let me see. It'd be easier to just... breaking, Zion Williams' signature line with Jordan Brand coming to an end. Dennis Schroeder accidentally elbows a fan in the head. That's Threads. Threads is a pretty good algorithm, I must admit. I wish it would just show me the people that I follow, but that's another story. Cool. Just hang tight. I just got to post the link. Where's the link? There it is. All right. And let's go. Live stream discussion happening now. Why not? That's a lame label, but who cares? And I got to get the thumbnail in there. Okay. Are regulars in here yet? That's pretty good. Update story. Steve. All right, cool. And live. Live and trades, actually. So I got to put this in the Dunleavy section, Mike and Joe section, or highlight on Insta. And let's get the discussion rolling. Timestamp, 7 minutes, 42 seconds into this. So about the 8-minute mark. First of all, actually, one last thing on our Discord server. One good place to go for all of these trade scenarios is right here, DUNLEAVY-LACOB-MGMT. And when you go there, you can see all of the latest and greatest that have to do with possibly the Warriors. So even yesterday at 3 p.m., right, Warriors. So here are some assumptions to make about this whole idea of Anthony Davis. Assumption number one, just know that all the facts are in the DUNLEAVY-LACOB-MGMT section, right? So assumption number one, check all facts on our Discord. DUNLEAVY-LACOB-MGMT section. Quote, Dunleavy. Can't type. LACOB. Dunleavy's hard to type. DUNLEAVY. Management channel. We call it channel, not section, but part of the difficulty in popularizing our Discord is that there's a pretty steep learning curve to get on the Discord. Wouldn't you say so, Bruce? And Brian Rojas, what's up? Daniel Barry. On a scale, this is me to Bruce, of 1 to 10, 10 being hardest, what would you rate Discord learning curve? Okay, that's the first assumption, and let's go through these. Number one, Warriors believe they can contend for a championship. What? All right. Sam Amick. This morning I posted this. Hornets that might be on the move. Veteran forward Miles Bridges is drawing significant interest. The Bucks, Warriors, and Suns are all known to be among interested parties. Well, good job by Lacob to keep us in the argument, in the discussion. Anytime there's a big name, he's right there. The Warriors are mentioned. In fact, I need to update one more thing because Ernie the man posted something earlier today as well. So let me post that. I forgot to do that until I remembered just now. So Ernie the man sometimes gives us little nuggets of wisdom, and here is one of them. He shows up in the Jimmy section all the time. That's automatically, all of his tweets go here. And this account isn't my primary account. That's why everything is like unread. There's a million things unread, but the funny part about these trade rumors is they aren't even true. Agents just give these insiders fake info to put on X to see if it generates any clicks. All right, so sub assumption A was Siegel says Warriors think they can still contend. B, Ernie says not to believe anything. Okay. And I just posted that in the Lacob, Dunleavy-LACOB section. If you scroll all the way down there, I just copied that literally right now at 8:13 p.m. And of course, this live is also having to do with Dunleavy-LACOB and management and trades and whatnot. So let's continue down the list of facts. We just talked about Miles Bridges. Part of that piece, here's another excerpt. DeMar DeRozan is a possible replacement, and Trey Murphy III is also a target as well. Obviously, we know that that would cost a lot more money, whereas DeMar has a similar salary to Jonathan. However, we would need an additional guy in the deal because I think DeMar makes a little bit more than JK, but we will talk about that in a second. So DeRozan interest, and actually Amick says DeRozan interest, Miles Bridges, which is the first time we've heard Miles Bridges' name. These notes that I'm typing in are going into the description, which will also be copied to the comments later. Today, Danny Emerman also said, sources familiar with Golden State's direction indicate the team is committed to building around Steph and Jimmy. So Emerman says we are committed to Jimmy. Okay. What else is a fact so far? I mean, us keeping Jordan Poole was a fact for 3 days. Remember that? So take it all with a grain of salt, plus what Ernie said. The Jordan Poole exception. Let's see. D'Anthony Melton and Al Horford have cheap player options next year. I don't see why you would trade D'Anthony Melton. So that's another thing that doesn't make sense, right? So FYI, D'Anthony Melton being traded on a veterans minimum makes no sense whatsoever. Absolutely no sense whatsoever. Unless you were tanking and we're not taking. And by the way, I didn't even need to reference an article to say we're not taking. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows we would never tank. Everybody knows we would never trade Steph. Those are givens. Named as appealing to contenders. We would never trade that. Now, Horford, maybe a different story. I mean, it's outside the scope of this discussion because this discussion is getting the Warriors back to meaningful basketball. If it's meaningful basketball, therefore you need Melton and Horford because it's meaningful basketball. So Horford going to another team is outside of the scope of this live, actually. So Horford, going back to, say, Boston, is outside the scope of meaningful basketball. So we can talk about that, but it's a waste of time in our context. Next fact, Mark Stein. You see all the little nuggets of information on our Discord, nice and neatly organized for you. That in and of itself, I think, is more valuable than Twitter, even though a lot of the stuff is derived from Twitter, although there are sources from Threads, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. That's the beauty of Discord, is that we can use many sources and throw them all into one Discord server. So again, Golden State gave Jimmy strong assurances that we want him back. Let's see. We plan to give Kuminga more minutes. We're trying to trade Jonathan. We are interested in a reunion with Andrew Wiggins. We should vote on that right away. So Stein says there's interest in Wiggins. Okay. For Kuminga, obviously. And here's a salary issue as well. Wiggins 28, Kuminga 22. So you'd have to send them, Al Horford? I don't know. Outside the scope of this as well, because I think the idea of Anthony Davis just usurps all of these, side pieces. And it requires JK to be in that deal. We do a poll. Would you do Kuminga for Wiggins? Let's just talk about that for a second, because I don't have another poll for you to vote on. So we'll just put that in there right now. I don't even know if I'll include this part of this live in the eventual video of the edited video of Anthony Davis and Klay Thompson, because we're going on a tangent real quick here, but live streams are a little bit more entertaining than polished or edited videos. So would you trade JK for Wiggs? Now, we just saw Wiggs. I'm going to do a hard pass, because it reminded me of all the warts. We talk about warts. You get to know a player. You get to appreciate what they do for you, Guy Santos. But then you also are reminded every game what their limitations are. And an example for you, Guy Santos, limitations. Not very quick. Will get beat on the point of attack more often than not. And doesn't really have his own point of attack. He's kind of a standstill player, although the one game where he showed the move against the Cavs, which then led to Jonathan being benched, people forget about that. It was a great game by Guy that also contributed to Jonathan being relegated to the bench. So Guy has a lot to do with it as well. It's not just Jimmy. It was Guy. However, Guy is more like flash in the pan. Our buddy Ricky Goodman on Twitter likes to call him a utility infielder. Yeah, he's good for short bursts, and you just want him to go in, energy, get rebounds. That's all I ask. Anything else is a bonus. Do not turn the ball over. And that's another one of Guy's warts, is turnovers. So they're not as prevalent as most other Warriors. Gary Payton Jr., Gary Payton II. But like Guy's nice, but he can't get his own shot. And so when we're, losing a game to Dallas in Dallas and we need a bucket, Guy's not one of those guys, and just it starts to bother you. So Andrew Wiggins, to get back to why I brought up Guy, and we can go down the list. Quentin Post, if you join us on our live streams, our watch parties, every game, Quentin Post, there's stuff to give him a standing ovation, clap your hands. Yeah, way to go, Quinn Post. But then there's other stuff that you're just like, right? Same thing with Gary. Same thing with Pods. Wiggins, same thing. We saw that, how many shots did he have against us that rattled in and out? And we're like, oh, thank you, Wiggs, for missing that. But those are the shots that if he just makes those shots, you kind of go, oh, wow. And every now and then, 2 times a month, he will make those shots, but mostly he's not making those shots. So Wiggs is just not good enough, in my opinion, to move the needle. And so he's a better defender than Kuminga, not as good rim attacker, pretty much same on 3-pointers, and excitement factor not as exciting as JK. And so if we're going to be a play-in team and vie for the play-in, let's check our standings right now. If we're going to just be a play-in team, which is, come on, that's what we are. We're not top 6. Having Jimmy was to get the top 6. Not having Jimmy, no way are we top 6. Like, again, that's kind of outside the scope of this discussion. Like, you need to come in here with the assumption that we are not a top 6 team. Look at Minnesota. They're 7. They're not even top 6. So we are talking play-in team. And let's just hope we can, fend off Portland and LA. We don't have the tiebreaker against Portland. We're going to see about Minnesota, but like, if Jimmy had problems with the length of Minnesota, how are we going to play without Jimmy? And we'll still have problems with their length, but we'll see. I don't know. Maybe Steph is just the Timberwolves kryptonite. You never know. So on Wiggins having warts, and same thing with Gee, QP, BP, the list goes on. Gary, the list goes on. Wiggs is just not enough of an upgrade over JK. Certainly not as exciting, especially if we are now a play-in team. If we are now a play-in team, I would like to be entertained a little bit more. And if we're going to get warts from Wiggs and we're going to get warts from JK, like, let me take JK. I'd rather tune in to watch that game. Okay? Plain and simple. What was the next fact on the list of facts? Oh, nothing except the Ernie tweet, which I added. So one of the assumptions is that assumption number 2, assumption 2 is we are no longer a 6 seed without Jimmy. We're having an argument about Gabe, but I haven't read the comments, but Gee is valuable in short spurts, no doubt. As I said, he is why JK initially got benched with full honors. Like, he deserved that. Gee deserved that, and it's totally understandable if you're going away from JK. If you don't trust JK, or you're not, a Mark Jackson type that likes, my team, my turn, your turn basketball. Here, let's ISO JK. If you're not of that ilk, which Steve is not, and Gee is playing great in Cleveland, then you roll with Gee and you carry that over on the road trip. And we all know what happened after that. Jimmy came back, and it's tough to put JK in there. Oh boy. The one thing I can't stand is when people are mad in the comments. So if you're going to be mad and all riled up and you just got to slam your fist down, this is not the channel for that. You go to Twitter for that. It's literally on your phone already. Just go talk to, You know who they are. Anybody. But anyways. Oh, now you call me. Now you attack me for the GM stuff, and we haven't even talked about getting AD. Stop it. He has no defense at all. Who, JK? What skill do Sam? I just told you, Sam. Are you listening? Man. Got to delete all these comments. I'm about to put you in timeout. Jeez. I literally said Guy Santos was not good at point of attack, and then you go here. Are you arguing with Bruce? We should keep Santos? If we should keep, dude, the guy makes like minimum, less than minimum. Of course you keep him. He's cheap. Wow. Release Santos makes no sense. You would not be a good GM. You would not be a good GM because you would release Guy Santos. You would waive Guy Santos. That's not being a good GM. Everybody here knows that. Salary cap. Have you ever typed in capsheets.com? Go type in capsheets.com. You'll learn a lot. It's by my buddy, Yossi Goslin. Anyways, any more crazy comments from dude? Okay. Tell that to Bruce. Nah, Bruce isn't. Bruce is defending Guy. You've lost sight of the bigger picture. Bruce is just defending Guy from being thrown under the bus. Okay, that's all. So let's put the swords down. Okay, so that's another thing is. At Let's Go Warriors, what we do is we try and embody what it's like to enjoy the game of basketball. Like Steph Curry shows up. He's not being a guy on Twitter, right? He shows up. He's going to play the game, just like we had all the interviews last night on our YouTube channel, right? You can go watch. Steph right away. If you go watch. Steph right here. In fact, I'll play it, and I'll mute it. But everything he talks about is along the lines of meaningful basketball and being mad about the situation or thinking that Guy Santos isn't a guy that you would pick first in a pickup game. Those are not thoughts that he thinks of. There's no need to. Steph being mad at his teammates for scoring, him scoring 38 and nobody else stepping up, or Draymond getting a flagrant, fouling out, arguing with that horrendous ref, Geminitis Petratus. Like those are just not things even Steph thinks about. He's there for the, joy of the game. And we try to embody that. We try to be the 19th man on the bench. Like we want to be Guy Santos. We want to be part of the team. And that's why our YouTube channel is all about like behind the scenes. That's why, this has 6.3 million views. Me filming Steph hitting 93 threes, or me being at Team USA and watching Blake Griffin dunk the basketball off the wall. That one was featured on ESPN, which was pretty cool. I go into a casino at Vegas and I see my videos being played on ESPN. That was the coolest thing ever. And like the lesson to be learned here is that there's more to basketball than just wins and losses. Like all that narrative on social media of Steph is playing 1-on-5. Oh, okay. All right, dude. Okay. I know you're getting clicks and likes and you're the coolest dude on the block because you run this Warriors aggregator Twitter over here and everybody's liking your thing because you're saying it's Steph 1-on-5. Oh, yeah. Okay. You're so cool. Like, that's not what I need to do. I don't need to be the cool kid on the block on Twitter. Like, there's no desire to do that. And just looking at these, you know, it just makes me feel so grateful that I was just even in the building, you know, Kevin Durant. So let's get into more assumptions. So the other assumption is that we are no longer a 6th seed. And that part is so tough to swallow. I'm sorry for mentioning it, right? But look, I mean, that was the equation. Look at this from a mathematical point of view. Look at the standings. With Jimmy, we're just trying to get top 6. They even admitted, we think we might be a top 4 team. I'm going, that's great. Go ahead and be top 4. I don't care. I just want 6. So Steve was literally on the podium saying, we think we could be top 4. And this was with Jimmy. So give him some grace. So that's assumption number 2. We will no longer be higher than 6th without Jimmy. So let's move on the next assumption, because assumption 3 is we will be a 6th seed when Jimmy comes back. So as much as we're going to not throw Jimmy under the bus, but as much as we're going to kind of insensitively mention that, oh, we're no longer a 6th seed without Jimmy, we have to acknowledge that with Jimmy we are. So he comes back February, maybe he attacks his rehab, you know, just like Buddy Hield is saying, just like Ernie is saying, just like D'Anthony Melton is saying, like, okay, I'll give you that. Like, we're not going to, you know, what's a month or 2? February, March, whatever. Point being, we get him back. We're probably going to go, you know, 600 winning percentage with Jimmy, because we figured it out. I mean, we finally figured it out. It took us, what's 25 and 19? It took us 44 games, of which we tricked off 4 of them, remember? I always got to bring those up. Got to bring those games up when we beat Denver. Okay, the Portland game back-to-back right after that, fine. I can throw that one under the rug. But the Portland game that came after that, but first it started with Milwaukee. They didn't have Giannis. Ryan Rollins killed us. Indiana, no business losing to Indiana. They're the worst team in the league. Then it was Portland again. Like, we just got beat up from Portland. This is our get-back game, and you still didn't take them seriously. And really, it's been Draymond and Steph and a little bit of Jimmy in that. And then Orlando, those 4 games, that's how we would have been a 6th seed, is to no longer do that. I wrote it up on the website. Jimmy recently said, we get bored with the process. This was exactly a week ago, and I haven't updated the website except for today, because I've been doing all these like recaps. And so go check out our recaps. Because I've been doing all these like recaps. Sorry, whenever I go to Substack, how many viewers we got? 9 viewers on Substack. That's cool. But yeah, I just did the Kyrie Irving one from last night, and it's been a while because I kind of pivoted my work process to do all of these honest recaps. For example, right here, Hornets Warriors, and then right here's another honest recap, which only 94 views. I tell you what, when we went through this yesterday and the night before that, after the Toronto loss, like, it is therapeutic to go through and recap these games, even when they're losses. All right, so that's another assumption. Getting back on the road, we will be a 6th seed when Jimmy comes back. Therefore, mathematically, and some of these assumptions might be in the wrong order, but assumption number 4 is that if we do a deal, we must ensure that it reasonably gets us to 6th seed by February 2027, which is when Jimmy would come back. So mathematically, if you're going to go do a deal right now, it's like, don't even worry about being 6th seed this season. Like, don't worry about this season. Okay, the shock of Jimmy has reverberations, okay? I get it. But the other part of that, the other side of the coin, is that are we even a play-in team without Jimmy and whoever we're getting for JK or JK? I think we're a 500 team. So we're not 7 games under 500. So we're probably a play-in team, right? Just looking at it. Okay, we're probably a 7 to 10 team. Probably won't drop past Dallas. Okay, so again, the positive side here is if we do a deal, we must be in contention for the 6th seed by February 2027. How many deals out there get us to that reasonably? Okay, so here's where I want to go chronologically. Thank you, Dean, for joining us, because this has a lot to do with Dean, because what happened, and I won't check comments here because I need to lay down the assumptions. We'll lay down the assumptions. I'll check comments, do a commercial break, dive into the cap sheet, Fanspo trade machine, okay? When Jimmy went down, the reason why I didn't do any more articles, which I was one behind and I needed to catch up, but then Jimmy got hurt. And I'm sitting here going, what can we do now? I'm thinking in terms of, like, you know, D'Anthony Melton went down. Like, you need to improve the team, because we're going to be, in my mind, my math is telling me we're going to be 7, 8, 9, or 10. And that to me is too bad. Like that, you know, Steve on the podium, we're just looking for a shot. Just give us an at-bat. Well, the at-bat is, you know, that's not guaranteed. Like, to win a play-in game, we've seen it happen. 2021, seen it happen against the Kings when Keon Ellis shut down Steph. So if we go do a deal, boy, it really does have to be something where, number one, the team receiving the Jimmy contract wants to tank. So that immediately eliminates a whole bunch of teams. Like, first of all, it's probably too late for Milwaukee to tank. Like I don't envision getting Giannis because Milwaukee wants to suddenly be in the bottom 3. The bottom 3 are so far ahead. They're 6 games or 7 ahead of Milwaukee. There's only less than 40 games left. Do you think, like, you know, Milwaukee could, like, lose all of the rest of their games, and then the Wizards would need to only win 7 more? Like, it's just not realistic to catch the tankathon. So I just don't see Milwaukee seeing any value in a Jimmy contract where Jimmy's not even playing. So, for example, the fact that Jimmy got hurt eliminates the Bucks. If Jimmy hadn't gotten hurt, then I think Jimmy would have value in the Eastern Conference, and they could probably still sell some tickets. I don't think you're going to be able to sell any tickets. They're going to have a harder time selling tickets than freaking New Orleans. if they have Draymond and JK as part of a deal for Giannis. If that one doesn't make sense to me either. So just, I know you can throw in 3-team trades, 4-team trades, but I am just not convinced that Milwaukee would want Jimmy. So Milwaukee wouldn't want Jimmy anymore. Not that they wanted him even in a Giannis trade fully healthy. So what team out here is going to want Jimmy with Jimmy injured? So what teams are left? What teams are tanking? Well, one team that's tanking is Sacramento. So let's look at Sacramento. And this is the avenue that I took immediately with Dean. Dean will tell you, man, Rich was bugging me. Monday late night, early Tuesday night, talking about DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine. No, seriously, I was thinking, okay, if I'm Sacramento and I get JK and I take Jimmy, because the reasoning being, okay, I wanted JK anyways, but now I want Jimmy so we can rightfully tank and be actually the worst. Because right now they're the 4th worst team. You want to be in the bottom 3 to get the top 5 pick guaranteed. So I'm thinking, okay, well, Sacramento, if they're taking Jimmy, then to kind of make sure that they take the deal, maybe they do it straight up without draft picks. If you get Zach LaVine off my books, oh, great. Take him. We don't want him. So that was an idea. Okay. I got to admit, that was an idea. Let's look at Hoops Hype, team salaries and contracts. Let's look at the Kings. And again, my idea for that would have been the Kings are only going to take Jimmy if you take Zach and get that $50 million off our books. So we don't have to worry about that. But actually, no, that would be Jimmy. Jimmy would replace here. We would get DeRozan off the books. There's a team option for JK, so he would fill that slot. And I don't know what other fillers there are, but that morning, Yossi Goslin and Sam Quinn came out with a Anthony Davis trade. I think Sam Quinn is to be credited for this, but it was on their channel. So at Third Apron, videos, and it's right here. Anthony Davis, 3 days ago. Oh, that's the edited one. They did a live. Oh, that's only 4 minutes. Okay. The live, that's one thing I don't like about YouTube, is the live is totally, I wish they had a full list, but here is the one. Yossi and Sam suggest 80 on Tuesday morning. Okay, so I looked at this, and so Sam Quinn is justifying that Dallas will make this trade because they want to tank a little bit. They're not going to get bottom 3, but it'll give them better odds. And get Anthony Davis off of their books, because there's all this talk about like Rich Paul trying to engineer a trade, trying to get that extension. Now, the one thing that they didn't talk about is what would be the extension to give to Anthony Davis. So that will be part B that will leave in a gray area as to, dealing with Rich Paul. But yeah, Anthony Davis has a player option in 2027-28. He wants to turn that into an extension, kind of like kind of like Jimmy Butler 365 days ago. You can see, once again, a friendly reminder, a lot of our contracts come off the books. Moses Moody is the only one guaranteed. Buddy Hield has a player option as well. So they're justifying that Dallas would do this because it's time to try and look for suitors for Anthony Davis and start the rebuild, right? All right. So they made a trade scenario, which I didn't agree with, just based on the little details. Like just kind of some other parts of it didn't make total sense to me, but I utilized that to create the following framework coming up for you. So anything else about Dallas? Yeah, they would get JK on a pretty good contract in terms of the team option. They can renegotiate that or not renegotiate, but extend them and get a discount on the extension. They could get rid of Klay, who is over, underperforming 16 million. Player option here, 17 million. So we'll get into that in a little bit. So mainly, I am just piggybacking off of what Yossi Gosselin and Sam Quinn said. And yeah, it's going to take a lottery pick. It's going to take a draft pick, which hopefully won't be a lottery pick. Maybe it'll be lottery protected. But they're suggesting that Dallas might be amenable to this to get a 2026 pick, top 10 protected, just like Jimmy was. If it doesn't convey, scoot it over to 2027. I've also been told by Eric G that the draft this season is awesome. So he would not want to trade the 2026. He would rather trade the 2027, even unprotected 2027, which so there's going to need to be a first round pick in there. But before we move on, I'm going to run a commercial right now. So commercial break. Let it run 60 seconds. I'll read comments while it runs. So let's run a commercial real quick. And here it is. See you in 60 seconds. Yeah, it is a gamble on AD, isn't it? Exactly. Welcome. Hi, Axel. Okay, so let's move on. The framework for what I have is as follows. Image file. Let's go look at the fanspo. Thanks to Dean. Taught me to do the fanspo. Where is it though? Is it on this computer? There it is. All right. So here's my trade scenario. I have to thank Yossi Gosselin and Sam Quinn for this, for the idea, but these are my details to get into it. The first issue. And yeah, AD only deserves an extension year by year. Well, yeah, I mean, that's maybe we can get Draymond on the phone with Rich Paul and And yeah, like you stay healthy, sure, we can maybe give a Zion like conditional contract. So yeah, good point, Brian. 80 only deserves year by year due to injuries. So we'll see. Okay. And again, I should mention, you know, another assumption, assumption 5. Are we on assumption 5? Yeah. A healthy AD does get us the 6th seed. That's a huge assumption, but it's an assumption that we're making going into this. Otherwise, we don't do the deal. And assumption 6, Dallas doesn't care about the play-in and requires a first-round pick for this deal to happen. Maybe similar to Jimmy conditions with Miami. That's another assumption we made. And you can look at them in the comments, or they're in the timestamps in the description. So, okay. Assumption 7, big assumption. And these, again, might not be in the right order, but meaningful basketball means legitimately contending for the 6th seed. So that's why we're doing this whole deal. We're assuming Anthony Davis is going to be healthy. We're assuming that he will bring us the 6th seed or help. And I thought if we had Anthony Davis, I know it sounds weird against Dallas, but if we had him last night, Draymond won't do the flagrant foul because he doesn't need to send a message to Dwight Powell that I'm going to rim protect. I'm the rim protector of this team. You relieve Draymond of that. Anthony Davis becomes the rim protector of the team. So I think that has a lot of value. So I really do believe that Anthony Davis would not only have helped us win last night and prevented Draymond from doing those Draymond things that everybody hates. I see the bigger picture on that, and I see where everybody says Steph needs help. I think actually Draymond needs help, and I mean on defense and as an enforcer and as a reliable defender, so on and so forth. And Anthony Davis provides that. After all, that was why Nico Harrison brought him to Dallas. Okay. To Dallas for defense. Now, I put Klay in the deal because if it's almost an insurance policy for meaningful basketball. I think Steph automatically considers stepping foot on the court with Klay Thompson as meaningful basketball, even if we're playing OKC in the first round, or, you know, even if OKC is, I don't know, even if we're 11th, I think Klay is needed for that emotional push. So Klay is part of the deal as not only an emotional push, but also a reason for Dallas to get off that contract. Also, it's a bad contract. The other people in the deal, well, Jimmy Butler, Jonathan Kuminga, obviously, Moses Moody, and you're going to hate this, but Will Richard is in this one. Now, actually, this is the wrong one. My fault. This is the backup plan. The main plan is, don't worry, Bruce. I got Will Richard out of this, the main one. I did the screenshot of the first trade that I tried, which had Max Christie and which Dallas might not do, and Will Richard in it just to make the numbers work. That one was actually the first try, but it was the second screenshot, so I mixed that up. So this is actually the one, and I will re-screenshot Brayan. Okay, this one has Jimmy, Kuminga, Moody, and PGMT. Why? Well, look, Dallas doesn't need to do this deal, right? There's a lot of options out there. I don't see Dallas being in a rush to make a deal happen. So you need to include good players on this. That's all I'm saying. And here's the argument. First of all, if we're losing Moody, we need a wing that can defend. That is Naji Marshall. He has to be in the deal. And he's only making $9 million. I actually like him better than Moody. Head-to-head matchup last night proved my point. Naji is just a tougher player, and you need toughness. He's stronger, and in some senses, he's quicker. Moody is a better complement to Steph. I get that. He's a system player and all of that. But yeah, Naji Marshall needs to be in the deal. These other ones, originally, Jaden Hardy was in the Sam Quinn deal, and I'm like, no, we're never taking Jaden Hardy. But to make the numbers work, I had to include him. And then also in the other deal, I had Dante Exum to make them work. I had Will Richard in it to make the numbers work. This one, we've got D'Angelo Russell. The reason why is because we're giving you Brandon PGMT. So the argument to make this under the 7 previous assumptions, the most important of which is that a healthy AD does bring us meaningful basketball, does make us legitimately a 6th seed. This is why we do the deal. But to make the deal happen, we need to convince the Mavs to do it. So it's not only going to take 1 first-round pick, and if it takes 2 first-round picks, I don't think I do it because AD, we don't know if he's healthy. We won't know, and we might not even know on February 6th. So we cannot do this deal for more than 1 first-round pick. That's as far as I'll take it. And I'd like to protect it as well. If it's 2027, we can unprotect it per Eric G telling me that next year's draft sucks. Okay. The argument for Dallas, you might be sitting here, you might be putting on your Mavericks shoes and you're going, nah, we're not doing this. We're still getting Jimmy Butler injured until February 2027. Jonathan Kuminga, he's hurt right now. And by the way, we're hopeful that Jonathan is okay. I don't think he got the MRI today, according to Discord. And so let's just hope it's a short-term thing. They don't think it's serious. So thankfully, it's not a torn anything. Okay. All right. So got to get that one out of the way. I just checked Discord. I don't see anything on there. Can do a search. It's easier to search on our Discord for mobile. So if you're hopping on late, go check the pin comment. It has a way to sign up for our free Discord. Okay. So if I'm Dallas, why am I doing this deal? Well, this is what you say. You go, hey, look, I just got Klay off of your team. You don't need to pay him all that money. And you got Moody instead of Klay. I just turned Klay Thompson into Moody. So that's what we're doing right now. Going through why Mavs would do this. Why Mavs would do this. Turn Klay into Moody is number 1. That's pretty cool. And he's cheaper. 2, I just turned D'Angelo Russell. Actually, I just turned D'Angelo Russell into Brandon PGMT. Turned D'Lo into Pods. He makes less than D'Angelo. And he does a lot more things. He rebounds like a freak. Number 3, obviously, turned Jaden Hardy into JK. I think these are 3 compelling reasons, extra reasons to do the deal. At least frame it that way. It's negotiating. That's what you do in negotiations. You highlight, you sell the dream. So I think this construction works in terms of, look, we just sent you Moody. We need somebody who can guard the other team's number 1. We have to get Naji Marshall in this one. Okay. All right. Besides, we just turned Klay Thompson into Moody. We turned Jaden Hardy into JK. We turned D'Lo into Brandon Podziemski. That's pretty good for you, is it not? And hopefully they go, oh yeah, I didn't think about it that way. Yeah, think about it that way. Because we're taking on all these guys and we're essentially getting older. Now, let me address the getting older thing, because that is one thing that even Yossi Goslin was like, you just made your team really old. Well, not really old. I mean, Jimmy is going to be 36. Anthony Davis is 32 going on 33. Kind of got younger on the superstar front. Yes, Klay Thompson is regressing, but the way I look at it is we replaced Buddy Hield over here. We replaced Buddy Hield on the right side. I need to get my cursor on this somehow. Let me see if I can do this a little bit better. Trade machine. There we go. Yeah. Ooh, which one's which? Jaden Hart. Yeah, this is scenario number 1. So let me do this. Remove, and add to stage, share screen. Which one's which? I can't see. It's too small. This is the one. So now you can see my cursor. I moved Buddy Hield to Detroit. Why? I hope this works. I hope Detroit would want a pure shooter. If you go look at their roster, they don't have anybody like Buddy Hield. And all we want in return is 1 second-round pick. We just need to clear salary. We need to get rid of Buddy. So you get Buddy for the playoffs pretty much for free. Give us your worst second-round pick. Okay. Let's assume that works. In the Warriors' mind, we just replaced Buddy Hield with Klay Thompson. That's not that bad. Okay? That's not that bad. So Buddy to the Pistons for 1 second-rounder. We replaced Buddy with Klay. Yes, we are overpaying Klay by a lot, but who cares? We have Klay back. We can still fill the seats at Chase, even though they're all sold out already. But like, will people show up to the games is the question. They're rich enough to just eat the loss on the, they just won't show up. These venture capitalists, go to Chase and see for yourself. But with Klay back, they'll still go. It's definitely an emotional play, and there's nothing wrong with that, especially when this catastrophic injury just came out of nowhere. Okay. I talked about Naji Marshall. We need a primary defender. Jaden Hardy. We will not play Jaden Hardy. Steve Kerr will not play Jaden Hardy. That's okay. It's just to get the numbers to work. And the 3 years, yes, I know that sucks. Let me look at the Dallas cap sheet. It's a team option in 2027-28. So Jaden Hardy, team option 27-28. No big deal. It still has everybody cleared off the books 2027. All right. D'Angelo Russell, 2 years. Look, I get it. D'Angelo is a bit of a soft player. There's no way he's going to rebound like Brandon Podziemski. He might hit better threes, but he's more of a standstill guy. He's not really a playmaker. Hey, look, you know, the team is going to be a little bit different with Anthony Davis anyways. I just think that this is really the only way to get him. Now, if you absolutely needed somebody to attack the paint, which I think Naji Marshall can, and he proved that last night. So I'm very high on Naji Marshall. What is the starting lineup? Steph. At the 2, I would start Will Richard. You like that, Bruce? See, we still got Will Richard in this one. At the 3, Naji Marshall, no doubt about it. At the 4, Draymond. At the 5, AD. Go big. Just do it. AD, not the best three-point shooter. Who cares? It's AD. It's Anthony Davis. Dean Chambers, 365 days ago. Dean Chambers on this live, or really 340 days ago. He's like, it's Jimmy Butler. By the way, Dean, who has more rings than Jimmy Butler? I mean, the more I talk about it, the more it makes sense to do this deal. But it's not the reason that we do what we do on Let's Go Warriors is not to, by the way, our bench looks pretty damn good, albeit maybe slow. Okay. Now here's the problem. I admit the bench with, obviously Guy, obviously Gary, but you have D'Lo as the backup ball handler. Might seem a little scary, but he's not that bad. Klay as the backup to Will Richard, who would have thought. And as I said, Jaden Hardy is not playing. Don't forget QP. Don't forget Al. In fact, I think in this scenario, QP gets really relegated to the bench, which I'm okay with. He's just so young, and he's up and down, and every game he's going to do stuff that just makes me cringe. It's fine. That's a young player. It's not an insult. Not an insult. Now, we are a little old. Like, can this team keep up with the Portland types, the Charlotte? Yes, we definitely should be able to continue to beat Charlotte. But what are some other teams? Orlando. Can this team beat Orlando, Portland? What are some other Toronto? Only 2 times a year, though. Any other long teams that we have problem? Minnesota. I think, oddly enough, Minnesota is always a good litmus test. Minnesota seems to be a good litmus test. You know, I think you can make an argument that we match up pretty well in the playoffs against Minnesota with this roster. I think the main concern would be, can the bench keep up? Or, I mean, you got Naji and Will Richard out there running around. So can our bench keep up with young benches? You look at most benches in the NBA, they're pretty devoid of talent. So, you know, because it's a my turn, your turn league. I mean, you look at Houston, you go, come on. You know, we don't got somebody that can guard Reed Shepherd off the bench. Well, that was a problem for us. But what I'm saying is, I think our bench is not bad. It's certainly more seasoned. D'Lo and Klay, right? You would think that there's less brain farts. We're still gonna have Gary. We're still gonna have Guy, QP, Al, Melton. Forgot about Melton. Actually, correct that. Starters, Melton. But Will Richard and in the small lineup will be in there with Klay. Okay, Will Richard for the regular season, Melton for the playoffs is who you start. Yeah, I'm liking this roster. I think it gives us a meaningful basketball team. I mean, what's the alternative? Isn't this way better than doing nothing? Like, okay, so we're going to give JK the ball more. Let's even start JK in our wildest dreams. Let's start JK. I mean, really, are you going to tell me a team where JK has replaced Jimmy, that's a 6th seed? Like, no, right? That night when I talked to Dean, he convinced me to just, okay, let's just calm down and let's just wait for Jimmy to come back, because when he comes back, we're right back in the chase for the 6th seed. Okay, I don't disagree with that. But dude, it's going to be some 500 basketball up until then, even with JK, right? Even with JK starting. JK at tip-top shape. I just don't think we crack the top 6. And then it's a 1-game playoff, and then he's still going to make those turnovers. So I like this totally revamped roster, and more in terms of meaningful basketball. I think mathematically it's more meaningful, but there's a lot of assumptions. There's a lot. Now maybe you can negotiate hard with Dallas. Maybe you can say, well, look at this roster that you just gave us. We've got D'Angelo Russell and Klay Thompson off the bench. They're, running a 40 in like 6.5 seconds. You know what I'm saying? Not the most athletic bench that you just gave us. So scenario number 2 involves Max Christie, which I don't think anybody I've talked to, especially after last night's game and the way that he's been playing all year, nobody thinks that we're going to get Max Christie. But if you were able to really negotiate well with Dallas, you could maybe, is it this one? No, it's the other one. You could maybe get Max Christie in the deal, but there is a framework that works for that. Here it is. I keep doing the wrong one. I need a magnifying glass to see what I'm doing. Oh, maybe those two are just... Here. Oh, I'll just close the other one. Somewhere on this computer. Here we go. This one. Close that. That one becomes inoperable, and I can just pick this one unless it's a duplicate. There's Max Christie. In this scenario, which Bruce probably doesn't like, but it is more this, I would do this in a heartbeat. If we got Max Christie in the deal, yeah, heck yeah. You know, this guy wins regular season games and possibly playoff games. Didn't we see him in against the Lakers? I'm not sure. That was a while ago. He might not even be, might be too young. In any case, this one has Will Richard going out just to make the numbers work. But it also, it's like, I don't know. I think you'd rather have Podziemski if the Mavs are doing this deal. So I looked at that. So maybe if you can convince Dallas that, nah, dude, our rosters is way too old. We just turned Klay into Moody. We turned Jaden Hardy into JK. That's pretty good. and that's already too much. So you could argue for that. I don't know. Obviously, I have zero experience negotiating these things, and it'd be great if we could get like somebody that follows Dallas on a day-to-day basis. I think I saw someone in the comments. I forgot to look at the comments, but this is scenario number 2. But I actually don't think it's realistic, so I'm going to get rid of it. And just go back to the original one, which was close window, which was this one. Okay, so back to the Sacramento comparison. Like this, anything Sacramento could offer us is worse than this, is it not? So I'm not even thinking about DeMar DeRozan anymore. Like it's one of those, again, the top-down approach. I'm actually doing the top-down approach with Giannis. I already did that. I made the assumption that Giannis is no longer available because why would Milwaukee do that deal? They wouldn't want Draymond. They wouldn't want Jimmy injured. So I don't think Giannis is possible anymore. And that is all because Jimmy's hurt. In fact, you could make the argument that if you get AD, you have a better chance at Giannis. So I wonder, maybe you can still get Giannis. Have you thought about that? That's kind of interesting. What do you think, Dean? What do you think, Bruce? All right, time to look at some comments. I will now catch up on comments and call it a night soon. I don't know what else there is to talk about. Okay, let's go chronological order. Melly Mel's cool, man. Why not trade Green? Why trade Green? You don't need to. You guys forget. You guys let your emos get in the way of the beauty of Steph Dray two-man game closing a game. And you cannot let that happen. So, yes, Draymond has sucked overall in the regular season, right? Draymond is a big game player. The bigger the lights, the better he plays. It's hard to get up for the Orlandos, the Portlands, the Phoenixes, the Dallases at Dallas when they're 8 games under 500. So I think people need to realize that Draymond is absolutely needed in the playoffs. And so if you can avoid trading Draymond, you avoid trading Draymond. And I just avoided trading Draymond. So why would you go out of your way to trade Draymond? And the other thing is Steph would never allow that. In fact, Dean had to convince me to trade Draymond in a Giannis deal. I still go, what about the two-man game to close the game, man? And all those really good defensive plays really late in the game. Now, I don't mean last night with 7 minutes to go. Again, if AD is there last night, Draymond doesn't do the flagrant. He doesn't even touch Dwight Powell. Doesn't need to. It's probably not even guarding Dwight Powell. It'd be AD. And is Dwight Powell getting anything against AD? I don't think so, right? Yep, having Klay back is a key piece. It is to appease the fans, but it's just coincidental. It's coincidental. I look at it as coincidental. I don't want to see Klay decline. Yeah, I get it, but yeah, but you get it. I know. Bruce doesn't want anything with Klay. I get that. I'm glad you like Naji. Yeah, I know. We definitely need him in the deal. So looked at trading Draymond. Nah, that makes no sense. I would start Klay over Will. What? Heck no. He doesn't even start now. Why would you start Klay? That makes no sense. I'm shocked by that, Bruce. But anyways, bench is Melton. Well, until he gets, you haven't seen Melton at 100%. He's only playing 24 minutes a game. Post all day? Wow. No. Come join our live streams. You will see Quentin post warts, because that's what I do. I expose people. He is hard to not get frustrated over any given game, because he's going to do a good thing and then he's going to do a bad thing. Then he's going to do a good thing and then he's going to do a bad thing. Same thing with Podziemski. It's the function of a young player. Don't give me hope. That's exactly why I'm doing this, because right now it's tough to have hope. When I see that the Warriors aren't going to do anything, it's just like, so we're going to have doldrums basketball. We're going to have middle school turnovers throughout the rest of this regular season. We're going to just, the less that we do, the less interested Draymond gets. So that's another reason to do the deal. Get Draymond interested again. Now, aside some other reasons, Yossi is high on Rich Paul / Clutch pairing LeBron with AD ultimately. Now, that might require Draymond, but yeah, I might only trade Draymond if I'm upgrading to Giannis or LeBron. Now, I don't even care about that. I care about right now. Like, I don't see a path towards LeBron right now. If there is one, let me know what it is. And so Yossi is high on LeBron and AD. I did the video with him a while back, and that's when he was excited to show me his LeBron AD idea. This was way back. Are these lives? There I am. Here's the back screen. So that's me. And we did a talk on deals that the Warriors can do, but this was by now ancient history, 3 weeks ago. And that's when he came up with the pretty cool, I gotta admit, idea of LeBron and AD to the Warriors. I was for it. If you could do it at the time, you can't do it anymore. I don't think Milwaukee would want Draymond or Jimmy injured. An injured Jimmy or regular Draymond is not appealing to Milwaukee. And then beyond that, if you want to include more teams in the deal, that just is too much for me to process. So I will leave that out of the scope of this discussion. But that's why I will not trade Draymond. Warriors not trading Will. They will trade Will if it's just to make the numbers work. So understand that guys with certain salaries, usually small, they get tossed in deals. Sometimes nothing to do with potential. So it's not personal. It's not, it's not a judgment on Will Richard. Sometimes the goal, the overall goal, the bigger name takes more precedent over the smaller pieces. It's just the fact of life. Yeah, Dallas considers Max Christie untouchable. Totally agree. So I know it's still a tough sell to the fans because they're expecting a haul from the Luka debacle. But if we can sell them on, hey, I'd replace KD with Moody, I replaced Hardy with JK, and I replaced D'Lo with Pods, maybe that's pretty good sell. Maybe. But keep chiming in, Ronald McPaul, and let us know. So this is something that I'm hoping for, because sometimes, I got to admit, sometimes it's just good to change the roster if the roster is still viable. And I did this even in men's rec league, you know. I remember my last, I don't even remember. I don't know what I did. I handed off the team to somebody else because I was just, I tinkered with it. Two of my guys, we won the championship Wednesday night league in Japantown. Two of the best players, they retired. What a way to go out. I was still young, and I was in my prime, but then I was started to be GM and coach, and it became way too difficult. Pretty soon I started my league, Dream League, on Sundays, so I couldn't devote much energy to playing basketball anymore. So I essentially sacrificed my playing career. But then I after 2 more seasons of mediocre basketball, where I tried to form a team with my buddies from Cal, and we had this one guy, Ton Smith, unbelievable player, but not really a system player, and just really athletic. He could like dunk, and he was like 5'10". So he was our 2 guard and everything, and it was always get the ball to him. And I just, my own team needed me to do certain things, and that didn't happen because I was always worried about, you know, all the other pieces on the team. And long story short, I just ditched that team. But it was good to just, it was actually therapeutic to have a new roster and tweak it, and then just give up on it. I had the freedom to do that. I'm not saying the Warriors need to do this and then just give up if it doesn't work. No, I actually think this might work. Now, we didn't go into detail as to what happens if it doesn't work. You know, one small step at a time. Well, we'll cross that bridge if the deal is actually done. I'm just giving you a door to open that maybe will be realistic enough for you to consider not throwing guys under the bus, because we still want to root for our team. So I gave you something to think about for the next 2 weeks, something to hope for, something that seems realistic. But yeah, Ronald McPaul, let me know at any point if it doesn't seem realistic, and hopefully it'll continue to be a realistic path until the trade deadline. But look, whatever happens, happens. You know, if indeed we don't do anything, if we go and get Wiggs, you know, I may not agree with it at first, but I'm damn sure going to be rooting for Wiggs. I still will do the thing during the games. This is the best way to enjoy and love the game of basketball. Go through the ups and downs in the game. Love the high points where guys are playing great, and just have fun with the low points, which I call them warts. You know, if we get Wiggs is going to take a bad 3, or he's going to mess up. But that's all part of it. Quentin posts, he's going to mess up at some point. That's all part of it. We deal with it right now. Guy Santos, Gary is the most prime example of the ups and downs of basketball, right? But you still got to root for Gary, and you're hoping that you get good Gary. So, yeah, I think this is a viable path, and I'm rooting for it right now. We'll see what happens, though. Get Klay back, have more. Yeah, it would have a lot of joy, wouldn't it? Can I, is this the right one? Naji, yeah. Oh, I still had that on my StreamYard. All right, I got to go pretty soon. Morale booster. Yeah. And I got to credit Yossi Goslin. I didn't come up with this. But it's always good to piggyback, right? Michael Jackson never really came up with We Are the World. He piggybacked off of the Do They Know It's Christmas? Yeah, LeBron's a free agent. Yeah, it's complicated with LeBron. How are we getting any better offers than in the summer? Yeah, good point. Thank you for... I don't think we are going to get any better offers because Jimmy's hurt. So I would argue that. So Dean says, wouldn't we get better offers in the summer? No, that's my answer. No, because teams need to tank now. They don't tank in the beginning of the season. So that's part of the sell. But I still wouldn't rather do the Sacramento deal because in February 2027, as I said at the top of the live stream, when we get Jimmy back, that team would be better than having DeMar throughout this whole time, or DeMar and Zach LaVine, or some trade involving Jimmy. Now you can go and get DeMar for JK, and that may marginally make you better, but it only makes you marginally better for the next year. Instead of that, I'd rather have a team that has AD on it and Naji Marshall for a year, because at the end of that year will be as good as the first team with Jimmy healthy. So that's my, if you can follow the math on that, that's where it comes from. But I am glad that you brought that up, Dean. The more you can poke holes in this one, the better. That goes against a lot of social media, right? A lot of social media wants to just pound their fist and say, fire Kerr, or I don't know, trade Draymond, or, Lacob sucks, or Lacob's an idiot, or, Dunleavy's this or that. Like, just all this throwing people under the bus. That's just not how I do it. All right, a Mavs fan YouTuber made a video trying to sell the Warriors on getting a... Oh, nice. Yo, give me the link. link me, please. Let's go click on you before we get out of here. Go to channel. Yeah. All right, Ronald McPaul. Check your videos. I don't see it on there, but let me know. That's extra reinforcement to my argument, trading AD over here. All right. Well, I think I covered everything, and it's time to go reward myself for time well spent on a live stream. Let's do one more commercial break, and I'll do closing thoughts. Well, I don't really have another closing thoughts. Quick commercial break, 60 seconds. Thanks. All right, let's run the commercial now. Get it over with. 60 seconds. JK for Wiggs poll is really close. Oh, can you share a link? I know. Email me. rich@letsgowarriors.com. Thank you, sir. I am part of the... You or Will Richard are part of the... Ooh, look at this. Giannis rumors. Check this out on our Discord. Unfortunately, it's for the VIPs only. Doc Rivers says Giannis didn't finish the game because of a calf injury. Ooh, he didn't like what he was saying. Giannis was defiant about staying in. Wow. I don't think it looks great personally. This calf keeps coming up and it's concerning. I'm not a doctor, but I'm smart enough to know that his calf keeps bothering him. There's something that is there and it keeps happening, and that's troublesome. Dang. What's up with the Warriors beat writers? Hey, Lions. I think that's it. Here's a bunch of Milwaukee Bucks stuff. All right, guys. So next live will be tomorrow, 2:30 p.m. Oh, boy. Saturday, January 24th, 2:30 p.m. Pacific time, GSW at Minnesota. And thank you all for being here. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Yeah, I can't believe I've never really been an Anthony Davis fan, really. Never been that high on him, but I am now because I think just to close things off, once again, I think to meet the definition of meaningful basketball, if you can pull this deal off, it's going to be meaningful again. In fact, any deal with Klay Thompson would be meaningful. That's kind of the bonus. Think of that as a good thing, not a bad thing. We're going to tune in. I know that Klay might not want to come back. He's still bitter at Joe Lacob, maybe. I think it's time to just say, Klay, please, let's just sweep that under the rug. Let's just water under the bridge. Yeah, water under the bridge. Let's just go. Let's just do this meaningful basketball thing. Hey, it's more meaningful than you staying on Dallas right now. So there's that, and just the chance. You talk about Steve on the podium saying, we just want a chance. Brother, this is the chance right here. This is the chance. But it assumes AD has to be healthy. So maybe we can give him an extension that, is very rich and, no pun intended, not me, Rich Paul, and has, a bunch of conditions that he remains healthy. And like the last thing is, so on meaningful basketball and Klay to close things out, but also the injury thing. If AD does get injured and all of that, I just think it's the same chances as Jimmy coming back fully healthy. AD having to battle through all these little injuries and stuff, short of anything catastrophic. I mean, it's like you're choosing between Jimmy, who just had a catastrophic event, versus AD, who kind of has these chronic things, out for a few weeks, back, like which one would you rather have? Which one would you prefer? It's like the AD thing being in and out is not that far a cry from just not having Jimmy at all until February 2027, in my opinion. So that's another kind of, logical look on things. And that's it. Wow, I went over 5,000 characters on the description. Yeah, I knew you would, Bruce. So you would rather, okay, fine, Bruce. Have your JK led 500 team for the next 12 months, or your DeRozan. I mean, I don't mean to throw JK under the bus. I just really truly think we are 500, unless there's a meaningful change. Giving up assets for equal chances. We need more for JK's value. They're going to skewer us. Not when I compared what you're getting. We'll see. I don't know what the deal is with Dallas, how desperate they are. So Bob Myers, You mean Mike Dunleavy? Bob Bob Myers listening to this has no bearing. But anyways, that's it, guys. Take care. I'm gonna go and yeah, go get me another frap. See you tomorrow. It's not, too far away. 2:30 tip off. Is that right? 2:30 tip off. Pacific. Yeah, early one. See you guys. Appreciate it. Justice 1, 2, 3. Whatever happens, Justice 1, 2, 3. I'll be right back there rooting for the team no matter what. Brate. Take care. See you very soon, right? What is that? 1400 hour, 10, 16 hours. Take care.